Hey everyone, Mr. Aaron here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the song Flicker by Niall Horan. And we'll go back into the verse, into the chorus. Let me just play the bridge for you. Okay, so this normally features a capo on the 3rd fret right here, but just for right now, I'm going to leave that capo off just in case you don't have one. So in the intro, we have an A minor 7. Okay, if you know your A minor chord, basic A minor shape, it's going to be the same thing, but then you just take your ring finger off. Okay, so really, I'm only fretting the 2nd string at the 1st fret, and then the 4th string at the 2nd fret. Okay. 1st finger and then 2nd finger, just like an A minor without the ring finger, okay? So we have that, and then we're going to go to a G over B, or a G/B. That's going to look like this, okay? I'm trying to get my finger out of there. It has middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, okay? And pinky on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, okay? It kind of looks like a G chord, right? If I do it this way. Right, I think some of you may have seen this type of fingering for the G chord before already. Basically, it's the same thing, but without the low G, okay, and then without the high G as well, okay. And once again, I'm fingering this with my middle finger on the bass and my pinky on the higher note, okay. So I'm using those fingers because it's just an easy transition if your index finger is busy on the 1st fret of the 2nd string to go from there to this. I think is probably the simplest change. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and slide up that pinky to the 5th fret, okay? And then your index finger will go to the C on the 3rd fret, okay? And so I'm leaving all these other strings open. The 1st string, get that in there. The 1st string, the 3rd string, and the 4th string. They're all open, okay? So the only notes that I'm fretting are the C right here and the E right here. That's the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So it should sound like that, nice C major in there, okay? So the last chord after the C is going to be an F major, but no worries because it's not an actual bar chord. We're not going to be barring the whole first fret with our 1st finger. We really only need the low F right here with our 1st finger, and then the next 3rd fret on the next string, 3rd fret on the next string. So far this is a power chord, and then our middle finger will go on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, okay? Okay, so that's just 6th string, 5th, 4th, 3rd, okay? So, the way that we're going to pluck this is, like I said, this is going to be the finger picking part, okay? So we're going to have our thumb and middle finger plucking the 5th and 2nd string at the same time. So we're sort of doing this pinching motion, okay? So thumb on the 5th string, middle finger on the 2nd string, okay? We're pinching those together at the same time, okay? So we have a pinch. We use our index finger on the 3rd string, middle finger on the 2nd string, and then thumb on the 5th string again, okay? So that looks like this. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Pinch, I am thumb. Pinch, I am thumb. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. You may have caught me actually not using the middle finger on that string right here. That's okay. We're actually not even really plucking that. We're not plucking our 4th string, but it's still a good idea just to fret it so that it kind of reminds you what chord you're doing. Otherwise, you might forget what you're actually playing here, right? We want to know what you're playing, right? Or you want to know what you're playing. So you have an A minor 7 right here. And then we go to that G/B, right? And just FYI, G/B just means it's a G chord, but the B is the lowest note. The B is in the bass, and that's why we omitted the G earlier on, right? We just have a G chord, but B is the lowest note, okay? We're going to use the same right hand pattern. 1, 2, and 3. Pinch, I am thumb. When I say I am, I'm referring to index and middle. Pinch, I am thumb. Okay? So 5th and 2nd string, 3rd, 2nd, 5th, okay? We're going to do the same thing when we go up to the C. Okay? Just once though. But we have a few more plucks to do on the C chord. So after this part, so far we have 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're not done with the C chord yet, but we are going to pluck it in a slightly different way to get out of it. We're going to pinch that 5th and 2nd string again. And then just sort of walk down the strings. You're going to go to the 3rd string, open, and then the 4th string, open. Okay? Doing these 2 open strings gives you time to let go of that chord and start finding that F chord. It's a little further away than these other transitions, right? And then going to this F chord, right? So you're just using your fingertips, like I said, no barring. And the picking pattern is the same, except you're going to move down to the lower strings. So instead of doing strings 5, 2, and 3, we're going to do strings 6, 3, and 4. But you're going to pluck it in exactly the same way, the same pattern. Your right hand won't feel any different other than the fact that it's just on lower strings. So that's going to sound like this. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So we do that 4 times the first time, okay? So all in all, that first time through, and then again. And then just end on beat 1 of that 3rd time through for the 2nd time, okay? And that takes care of the intro, okay? Next we have the verse, okay? Now this just features just some strumming, okay? Some basic chords, but then there's also some more interesting chords that you don't see as often. But it starts off with just a C major, okay? So that looks like your A minor 7 except with the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, okay? So we have our C chord. Then we go to an E minor. A good trick for going from C major to E minor is that all you do is lift up the ring finger and the index finger and bring that index finger over to the 5th string. And then now you're at E minor right here, okay? And then after that we go to an A minor. And once again the middle finger just remains where it is, right? So from the C chord, the middle finger stayed on that 4th string. To the E minor, it stayed on that 4th string. Now to the A minor, still, that middle finger will still stay on that 4th string. So during these first 3 chords, there's no reason for that middle finger to lift up for any reason, right? So C, E minor to A minor, okay? So after that A minor chord, we're going to go ahead and have this bass line descend to the G, okay? So we're going to lift up these 2 fingers, our middle finger and ring finger. The index finger will stay in the same spot. Like I said, our bass line is going to descend down to the G, okay? So we have this G sus. Basically, it's sort of like a halfway point between the G chord and a C chord. Like I say, you still have this upper part like a C chord, open, 1st string, 1st fret, 2nd string, open 3rd string, and then our bass line or our bass note on the G on the 6th string, the 3rd fret. I'm muting the 5th string, so I can't hear that, and I'm also muting the 1st string as well. Okay. So we have that. And then we go down to an F major 7. Now this is a little bit of a tricky chord. And pretty much anything F related is going to be kind of tricky. But I think you can do it this way. So what I'm doing is, this is going to be easier for steel string people. If you have a nylon string guitar, it's going to be a little trickier. So, and I'll give you another way to do this F major 7 in a second, but let me show you this way first. So what I'm doing here, kind of a tricky thing here. I'm using, instead of using a bar chord, you can't really get a major 7 sound using this bar chord shape. So what I'm doing is I have the first open string, my index finger is still on that same C note, my middle finger on the A, that's the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, pinky on the 3rd fret, 4th string, ring finger on the 3rd fret, 5th string, okay? Now the trickiest part of this, I think, is the thumb coming over the back of the neck, and then it's going to come over and grab this F on the 1st fret. And to make this even trickier, you want to make sure that you don't mute that 1st string while you're doing this low F down here. A lot of times people end up muting that, and you really want to get that high E in there because that's what makes an F major sound. This is just F major, I'm sorry, if it gives it the F major 7 sound. So here's F major, and then here's F major 7. That's a very much kind of like bittersweet sound to it. Yeah. If you can't do that, then forget about the low thumb and just do these middle 4 strings here, the same way that I described earlier. You're just going to end up muting the low string this time with the thumb, because we want to try to see if we can still get that high E. We don't want to lose that high E. Okay? So if you have a nylon string, or for whatever reason you just can't get that thumb to fret the 1st fret very cleanly, maybe it's really buzzy or you can't quite get it to stay down, then just do the, like I said, the middle 4 strings, and just use the thumb to mute the low string if you can. And let's make sure we get that high E in there, okay? So that whole section, or I guess it's like the 2nd half of the verse, we have A minor to the G sus to the F major 7. Okay? So those are the chords. So to strum it, remember this song is in 3/4. Right, so there's 3 beats for a measure. A lot of these chords in the verse have 4 bars to it for the most part, and then 2 bars when we get to the A minor. So we can go like this. We're gonna go 1, 2, and 3, and 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 okay. Down, down, up, and then you do that for each measure. So you can also do this, you can accent the, accent 1, you're going to make that a little louder than the other strums, but then also accent the and of 2, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, so that and is an upbeat, so I'm going 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and okay, I'm kind of exaggerating it a little bit, just to be extra clear about it. But it is 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 1, and 3. Okay, so that's the idea. 1, 2, and 3, and. You're gonna do that 4 times for the C, and then move to the E minor. Once again, 4 times. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. I forgot to mention, for the C, also mute the low string with your thumb as well. Anytime you have a 5-string chord or even a 4-string chord like the D chord, it's always a good idea to see if you can use your thumb to mute the lower strings that you're not needing, right? Anything below that bass note that you're intending to play. So the A minor and the C chord, when you're strumming it, it's a good idea to mute that low string. Not as important when you're just picking, because I just know I'm not going to hit this one. If I'm picking, I'm not going to hit that low string. If I'm strumming, there's a very good possibility I might hit that low string when I'm not actually intending to. It's going to muddy up the sound a little bit. So once again, we have that E minor, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, right? And then we go to our A minor. We're only gonna strum it for 2 bars, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, down to the G sus, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, to the F major 7, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. Honestly, a lot of times I don't even do that low F. I can do it, but a lot of times you'll just see me just muting the string. I think we can still perceive that it's an F chord even if I'm not doing that low bass. So I'm going to go ahead and play the first half of the verse. The second half is essentially just a repeat of the first half, so I'll just save some time and just show you the first half. So starting from C. So oftentimes they end on the third measure of the F chord. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and then just let it ring until for 2 bars, and then you come back in on the C 2 bars later. Okay. So the second part of the verse, like I said, is the same. For the chorus, we're gonna go ahead and start on the chorus. Very similar strumming pattern. You can keep doing the same thing. But we're going to go ahead and start with an F chord. Now this one's a little tricky. This one I think actually is not an F major 7, but just an F chord. So if you can bar it, go ahead and do that. If you can't, you're going to have to start working on that. It's a big hurdle for everyone, so it'll take some time, but that's what you want to try to do. I'm not going to give you any tips right now in this video for the bar chord. Maybe that can be a different video, but for right now, just do that F major. If you can't do that, then go ahead and just go back to the F major 7. That's fine too. Or you can even just do an F major and just mute the high E. That's fine too. Okay. So, and then after that, we go to a C major 7. That's the same thing as a C major, but without the index finger. So it's actually a little easier to play, even though it has a more technical sounding name, C major 7. Yeah, not too hard to play. So after that C major 7, we go to an A minor again, and then to that G sus, and then we go to a C instead of the F, but then after that C, that's when we go to the F major 7. Okay? We stay on that F major 7 for a while, and then we just repeat those chords again. F, C major 7, A minor, G sus, C, F major 7. After that time, we go to a D minor. Okay? I think D minor is the only one we haven't talked about yet. So that's fret 1, 3, and then 2, and then the open string. Okay? And do that in order, right? So first string, first fret, and then the third fret, and then the second string. Now, I like to do this with my pinky. A lot of people do it with the ring finger too. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I just find that it's a little bit harder to get that ring finger closer to the fret. From when you're doing this shape. So if you are using the ring finger, you can kind of have your fingers coming in kind of angled. Notice that they're not parallel with the fret like this. It makes it a little bit harder to get the ring finger to stretch. But if you sort of grip it this way, with your fingers sort of pointing towards you, you can actually get a lot of reach with that ring finger. So you can do it this way, although a lot of times I do this with my pinky, and that's just fine as well. And then my ring finger just sort of just hanging out. Okay. So either way works. Just find what works for you. Okay, so that's your D minor, and then after that, that's when we go back to that same idea from the very beginning with the finger picking thing. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and finish up this idea of the verse. So as for the rhythm for the chorus, we're gonna have 4 bars for the F chord, 4 bars of the C major 7. I guess a little different here. We have 1 bar for the A minor, and then 1 bar of the G sus, 1 bar of C chord, not C major 7, but a full C chord, to the F major 7. And then we're going to get 4 bars of that. Before we're going to that D minor for 2 bars, and then just hit it for on beat 1 of the 3rd measure, and then you just let that ring until we get to the sort of like an interlude. We're sort of referencing the chords from the intro. We go back into this thing. Okay, just play it the same way. And we have our verse and chorus, which are obviously the same way, and then the bridge is using the same chords from the intro, but we're strumming it in the same way that we strum the rest of the song. So it's sort of like a blend of the 2 sections. We do have to change our left-hand fingering a little bit just to make this work. So once again, we're going to go back to that A minor 7, that same way that we mentioned earlier. now this middle finger actually matters more because now we're strumming it and we need that note there. So you can't just do it like this. You could have gotten away by picking this like that, but we're going to need that middle finger here from when we start strumming. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3, and then to our G/B, 1, 2, and 3, and to a C chord. Instead of doing it over here, we're gonna do a regular C chord just like this. That'll work just fine. And then to that F major 7, once again, just use that same F major 7 we've been doing. Right? Okay, so, and that's pretty much how you play those sections there, okay? So I think we went over everything, the finger picking for the intro, the strumming, we went over all the chords, and the bridge. I believe that's all of the sections to it, okay? So, let me know if there's more ideas that should have been covered, or if there's anything that can clarify, or if I missed anything, just let me know in the comments, or in class, and we'll get to that, okay? So, have fun with it, listen to the song, play along with it, do your best, and have fun with it, okay? So, see you in the next video.